Oh, Lordy. This week has been a little rough. Racing wise and personal life. Personal life wise and life. Um, so, I want to start out with Daytona, as usual. I already talked about the truck series, and Grant Enfinger won that. Saturday, my boy Noah won his first Xfinity race. So, suck haters. Saying he has no talent and doesn't deserve to be in that ride. He was only there because of money and crap like that. So, shut up. Um, Daytona is like the biggest stage of them all, and like I feel like in any form of sports or whatever. Like we have Indy and we have Daytona, Talladega, and whatever. But when it comes to like NASCAR wise, it's Daytona, and that because what kicks off our season. Well, for me, like officially, the second week kind of kicks it off because you just never know with Daytona who will come out on top. And when this year it just was the same old. And I'm just like, someone else, please. I'm sick of Toyota winning all these stupid races, especially Hamlin. When you look back at the video, like a replay, when the caution came out on the very end of that lap, like close to the end of that race, Blaney was in front of Hamlin. So Blaney got robbed of a 500 win. But that's not why I'm really talking about this. But my hair is a hot mess. So real topic of discussion is Newman, known as Rocket Man in our sport. He's been part of NASCAR since 2002. Same rookie class as Jimmy Johnson. So they grew through the series together, and I went to my very first NASCAR race when I was, I want to say 15 years old, 2006. I was 14. I was about to turn 15. The race was sponsored by Sony. It was at Auto Club Speedway. I never knew the extent of like coming to these races and whatnot, and what the production was, and how big this damn track was. But like ever since, like I've been a NASCAR fan for over 2 decades, and some people don't realize that, and it's like really annoying. But anyway, I've been a fan since I was like 6 years old. Jeff Gordon, Rainbow Car, the Flames, and everything. I also grew up as I liked Ryan Newman. I have a diecast of his 12 car when he drove the Sony car for, I believe it was Team Penske, when they were still driving like Dodge. And this is back when Auto Club was still running like 2 races a season, and now they dropped it back to 1 because we knew how stupid that was to have 2 races at Auto Club when they're boring as hell. But anyway, I got to meet like Ryan Newman because he like kind of sponsor was Sony, the Sony 500. A friend of ours from church at the time like worked for Sony, so they got us like garage passes or infield passes, whatever you want to call them at the time. And we got to go from go under the tunnel to our seats into like this giant tent what was air conditioned with food, drinks. You can watch the race on the TVs in the tent. And granted, this is California in like fall, so it was kind of warm. It was really, really hot that day. And granted, like we were chartered in on a charter bus, obviously, like a big bus, nice bus, like escorted in by the police, like they just escorted us in and whatnot. It was like the royal treatment. This was my very first NASCAR race, mind you that. And food, drinks, air conditioning. You can watch the race from inside the tent if you didn't want to be like inside on your seat like sweating to death, and the parking lot. I think it was like the special parking lot where the bus was. The thing was all on asphalt, so it was like just radiates heat, and it was not a good time for that. But my hair is like dripping. Um, but overall, that was like the best time I've had in a very, very long time at that time, because I was going through a lot mentally and emotionally at that time. So I got to see like Jeff Gordon race, and Dale Earnhardt, Tony Stewart, Casey Kane, and granted, Casey Kane beat Kyle Busch that day in the number 9 Dodge. Just saying. But what was I saying? Yeah, like all the drivers I grew up with, like Jimmy, Jeff, Newman, Tony. I've watched all those drivers at least once or twice on track. Um, I, I went to a race Tony Stewart won, but it was like rain shortened. But still, he won a race out of that at All Club Speedway. But this is more about Newman. Daytona, the last lap. It was amid that Blaney was just pushing Newman to the checker flag so he can win. They did the 500, but somehow like his car got like jerked, and it turned Newman into the wall, like just before like the start finish line, I guess, and it, like his car flipped, and it was just mayhem. Like it flipped over Corey LaJoie's car, like it smacked the hood off of Corey LaJoie's car over his car and landed like on the hood, and it was a massive wreck. Like, but props to Corey LaJoie. He got like one of his best finishes, I think, of his career. He like finished in the top 5 or top 10, whatever. Somehow Newman finished still in the top 5 after wrecking. But my concern was Newman and like the extent of that wreck. What bothers me was the celebration of the Joe Gibbs team. Like Joe Gibbs himself wasn't really celebrating because he was a little bit concerned about the 12 car, not the 6 car. It's very, I keep thinking, because I'm looking at the 12 car over here. 11 won the 500 again, back to back. No one gives a shit at this point. We were all more like the whole race community was more concerned about Newman than fucking Hamlin over here, who shouldn't have won that race to begin with, because it was Blaney who got robbed of a 500 because he was in front of Hamlin when the caution came out. So, but like whether he knew about the extent of the situation or not, I still feel it was disrespectful and distasteful to celebrate while there's a bunch of like medical trucks around, ambulance and whatever, and a tow truck attending just to one specific car that was upside down, mangled on the driver's side. So they had like the cut up in the door and get Newman out so he can get him into the hospital and whatever. They want to keep it hush hush because I understand the extent of, like, if that was me, I would have done the same thing, like keep it like under wraps before we jump to conclusions about what exactly happened and the extent of his injuries and whatever. They say came back, his injuries, there's no life-threatening injuries, and today he walked out of the hospital. Sorry. Ugh. Praise God. Like, the safety has come so far in the sport. Like, it's been 19 years to the day since we lost lost Dale Earnhardt at Daytona. And the last like big crash that we had was like literally at Daytona. It was like the summer race of Daytona. Dale Earnhardt Jr. won this race. It was like 2015. I think it was 2015. Dale Earnhardt won this. Jr. won the race, but at that very end, like we all know, Austin Dillon like flipped into the catch fence, and if it was his car was the other way around, he would not be alive today. It's like that's the extent of the safety that's come so far since Dale Earnhardt is insane. Like, we've had drivers walk away from massive wrecks, being like upside down, half their car's gone, and it's just crazy that because of all the safety that NASCAR has put into these damn cars, no matter how, they can't make them 100% safe because this sport is freaking dangerous, and drivers put their lives on the line every single week, and that people who don't understand that don't realize the extent of what they go through every single week. They just think, oh, they just turn left, they don't do much of anything, but realize that these guys are like, no matter who you root for, who you don't like, whatever, all these people are human, and they're here to entertain us, and with competition, racing, whatever, but they also risk themselves like Newman did, and Corey LaJoie, and Blaney, and Chase, and all the drivers. Like, I pray for them every single week, because you never know what will happen. Like, everyone gets injured at some point. Like, Kyle Busch, 2015, when the year he won the championship, I still believe he earned that championship, even though I dislike the crap out of this guy. He earned it that year from coming back from a serious injury of breaking his legs and foot in the Xfinity race, which he shouldn't be running in the first place. But it's another story for another time. But he came back after 11 races, won 5-6 races that year to win the championship. Then he went through breaking his back, I believe. Eric Almirola broke his back at one point, quite a few years ago, like when he was still driving the 43 car. And Tony Stewart like broke his leg or whatever, and it's just like, injuries are bound to happen in this sport, or just get sick or whatever, and this wreck just puts everything in perspective. Like, don't take your life for granted. Everyone, like literally everyone in the racing community, no matter what series it was praying for Newman. Sorry. This guy's had a rough like couple of weeks because him and his wife had separated, and after 16 years of marriage, or like whatever it was, and then he gets in this horrible wreck, and everyone was like standing behind him. Get it together. And my heart breaks for Blaney right now, and Corey LaJoie, because what goes through your head when a car is flipping over you, like hits your car, flips over you, and your car just catches on fire, and you have to I couldn't understand how Blaney must feel for what happened just right in front of him, because all he wanted was Newman to win that race, and he could just end up second, like he did anyway, because, yeah, like, I saw, like, a picture of Blaney I believe one of his crew, I think it was his crew members or crew chief, he was standing by the side of his car. His head was on top of his car. He was just like, you don't understand like how much this beats up any driver involved. They always want to blame themselves. It's like it was not his fault for what happened. Like, thank God for Bubba though. He's like one of his best friends, and he talked to Blaney. He's still devastated. He's hanging in there, but it's just this week is just so solemn based off of that alone. And we just don't know who's gonna run the 6 car until Newman gets fully like recovered, because we don't know if like what his injuries are or whatever. People like kept assuming, oh, he had a broken back, and they're like, let's stop with the assumptions. People were like, oh, I'm so worried because they haven't said anything. Like, they gave you like hush hush and this and that. I'm like, they want their privacy. Do you not people not respect that for a family? A family wants respect, and they will, like, NASCAR and the team itself will give us updates on what they want to say to the people, like to the public. Not everything needs to be leaked out because you think you deserve, like, are entitled to it. Like, I respect them for that. If it was me, I would want that privacy too. And this morning, we saw a video of Newman being released from the hospital. This hospital is like right across the street from the track, I believe. Halifax Medical Center or whatever you want to call it. You see a video of him walking hand in hand with his daughters. It just puts everything in perspective. As I keep saying, this sport is crazy, crazy scary and dangerous. Every single week they get inside that car, they're risking themselves for our entertainment. Some people don't understand that, and they're like being assholes about it. Because they just keep thinking like, oh, they just turn left, They don't do anything exciting. Like, you get inside of a car for 3 to 4 hours straight, probably even longer, in massive heat or cold, whatever you want to, and you're going 190 to 200 miles an hour, like bumping and banging, like this close to like another car, and risking getting either wrecked or just going for the win, whatever. It's like, you can never predict when this shit's gonna happen. Like, people are like, we need to get rid of Daytona Telly. I'm like, do you realize racing in general, you can wreck anywhere, literally anywhere. A bad wreck happens on a road course. Like, have you not seen a road course like wreck? Those are terrible. Like, it can happen literally next week at Vegas. It's happened at Vegas, happened at Phoenix, happened at California. All these wrecks happen every single track they go to. No matter what, there's a wreck that happens every week. Or some mechanical issues, something. It's not just the super speedways of Dega and Daytona. Daytona is just a crapshoot where anyone can win if they just survive the big ones, in which the big one didn't happen until like near the very end of the race. So, but it's just, so far everyone's been just focusing on Newman and his recovery, and like as I said before, I've met him before. I got my hat, like I have a Sony hat, number 12 on it, signed by Ryan Newman 14 years ago. It'll be 14 years ago in, was it 14 years ago? Yeah, it was 14. Yeah. In like September of this year, it'll be about 14 years since I've met Newman in that race. So, because it was 2006 when this happened, when I met him. So, it was pretty cool. Like, NASCAR and, like, the race community has, like, come together just for this, like, but what sucks is I'm getting, like, attacked for saying shit about Hamlin. I'm like, what do you expect me to say? Like, I don't like the dude. I never will. And whether he was aware of the, like, extent of the situation or not, the celebration itself between the team and him, it was insensitive and distasteful and disrespectful. That's my opinion. I'm not putting any blame on anybody. I'm just saying it's just very insensitive and distasteful. And yes, Gibbs apologized and whatnot, but I feel like it was just a little too late for that. But like, my heart goes out to Blaney. My heart goes out to Corey LaJoy. It's just, it's been a whirlwind of emotions this week. They had the race on Monday since it was postponed until Monday. Even on a Monday, that was the highest rated NASCAR race, like any Monday race, since 2012. And people say, "Oh, NASCAR is dead. NASCAR is dead." And what I saw about or just saw an update about the Indy 500, it's gotten the most views. The viewership had been the most over since the 2000, over the span of 2008 to now of the Indy 500. There's more views over that time span than the Indy 500 has gotten. So that's insane. So it's pretty awesome to know that where sport's heading and we're back in the right direction. So I'm just making this real quick because I have to leave to get my nephew from school, which I didn't want to and didn't plan to. My goal was to get some more freaking sleep, but no one gives a shit about my sleep habits because I work at night, and I didn't go to work last night because I was past the point of exhaustion and I didn't want to risk myself getting another wreck. And so I got my 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Hold on. I want to see how many hours I actually did sleep because it was 9 hours and 38 minutes. There you go. See? Yeah, so I got a lot of sleep, but I need to sleep beforehand because it's midnight is still far off, and I have to leave here at 11 o'clock just to go to work because I work all the way down to Phoenix, which some of you may not know where that is compared to where I am. I'm 25, 30 minutes away from my work, or 20 minutes at least, depending how the traffic is. So I leave a little bit earlier than usual and get to work, and I'm there until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, normally about 5 now because it's been so damn busy. And we have so many damn sorts, after us, from Tuesday to Saturday, we have a sunrise sort, which means they come in at 5 o'clock in the morning until about 10 o'clock. And then by I think the next sort doesn't start for another couple hours after that, and which is the day sort. And our shifts are called sorts for a reason, because we're sorting packages and loading, unloading, whatever. And then we got twilight, which starts at 6. And by next week or the week after, the sunrise sort's gonna be starting at 4:30. So my shift's gonna be a little bit shorter than normal. So I'm gonna be working try to work 6 days a week so I can make up for that time lost. So, but, oh, well, there's news. Ross Chastain will be driving the 6th this weekend, which I don't understand why he got chosen for that out of all the people, but that's me. But anyway, so, and now I have to cat sit, which is gonna, on top of watching my nephews and work, so I'm gonna be a zombie until Monday. So I apologize if I don't update after the Vegas race, which should be exciting because that's, I feel like, the start of the season, because it's we can actually pin out where everyone is on speed when it comes to 1.5-mile tracks and whatnot. So, I mean, I feel like the Chevys are going to be a strong contender this year, even though it may look like, oh, they're not strong enough, but at Daytona they showed their strength. Majority of them were wrecked out because Logano's stupid, and Chastain is stupid too because he doesn't know how to drive half the time. So, but, oh, and Stenhouse, because he's an idiot. He'll never change. So, I need to wrap this up because I have to leave soon. But, yes, again, Chastain will run the 6 car this weekend at Vegas. But who knows for the foreseeable future, during his, Newman's recovery. So, it's just a relief to see the news of Newman and how well he's doing, being released and getting to go home so he can recover properly and have his privacy. So, but my boy Chase got the first stage win of the season, and got some stage points in the second stage. Usually we don't make it that far into to the 500, so it's pretty rare that we get a stage win at Daytona. So, pretty stoked about that. But I just don't get why they show the extent of Chase's wreck at the very end of that race, which doesn't. I'm sorry, but why couldn't you throw a caution then, but threw a caution right there at the end? I don't get it. So, God, my hair's falling out. So, good God, I have hair everywhere. Ugh, I have to vacuum again. I have to get my hair cut immensely. But anyway, Vegas is up next. It's gonna be a short week because the Hall of Parade's not gonna happen for Vegas because of the delay of Daytona. Oh, and Chase is still in Georgia to reveal the pace car for the Atlanta race. And there's that's gorgeous. Look at that Chevy Camaro. Oof. And he was just in Georgia to promote the Atlanta race, and of course we all know he's from Georgia, so he's promoting his home track. So, and he was at the elementary school and whatever, and it's pretty cool. So, but anyway, I need to wrap this up because I need to leave. So, update: Newman's good. Continue prayers for all the cars that were either involved or just affected in general. Remember that don't take your life for granted, and especially respect the drivers now, please, for what they go through. I personally don't give a crap about half the majority of the field, but I respect them for what they do on track, that they put their lives on the line and they risk themselves. Other than that, I pray for them every single week. If one of them wrecks out but it's not seriously injured, I'm yes, yay, they're done out of the race. But if it's a serious wreck, and I'm just I'm mortified and I don't want anyone to get hurt, regardless of who it is. I'm not Ryan Newman fan girl status, but I'm a fan of him person wise, because He's like literally the very first driver I ever met, so I always have that etched in my memory. So anyway, I got my new Chase shirt, and I've been wearing my Blaney hat today. So I'll have to go pick up my nephew like now. So I'll talk to you guys later.